What's up, guys? FSC Railroad. Before I had this channel here, I had put this video on a different channel with a music bed. And because the music bed is copywritten music and I don't have a subscription for this channel, it hasn't grown big enough yet, we're not going to be running music rather than a voiceover. Once again, this is FSC Railroad. This video, we started going to take a ride in Philadelphia. This was after I had filmed the video where we took the ride on the Strasburg Railroad number 475. This is a SEPTA trolley. It's actually a refurbished antique. There's many of them that at the time were running. Now, currently in the year 2021, I don't know if any of these trolleys are still operating. However, they were scheduled to start being phased out at the time I filmed this. Now, most people that follow my brand of channels know my girlfriend, Jen. And Jen originally is from Philadelphia. So while we were out visiting in Philadelphia, these trolleys had taken my eye, and I decided, you know what, let's go for a ride and film some of it.
The seats are newer.
So Jen and I walk into this car. It was way before any other passengers would be getting on. We did wind up paying and proceeded on like normal. But at the meantime, I decided, you know, let me take some pictures while nobody was in the way and be able to take good pictures of the control panel and so forth. And just bear in mind, growing up as a kid, going to places like Strasburg Railroad, I've never actually been on a trolley. I've never seen stuff like this beyond Mr. Rogers' trolley. But that was just like a little toy model trolley that was there. At this point, it was really interesting to me because, again, being used to being on trains and maybe a handful of passenger rail cars like the subway in New York or any metro line like the one that goes next to I-95 I took a ride one time from Milford, Connecticut down to Manhattan. It certainly is an interesting thing to be on a train, so to speak, and being in traffic. The trucking side of me right here just makes me go nuts because you have no steering wheel. I even comment on the part here where, how do you drive on a road with no steering wheel? I left that little clip in because I wanted to try to get some of the ambient noise of the screeching of the wheels as we made our turns. I do later on ask how the trolley will work its switching, because it's not just one big line like a continuous loop like I originally thought. See, right here, you're pulling up to the train station or trolley station, which is right on our right. As we go down the streets in Philadelphia, you just notice all the different places next to the trolley, and I wonder, what was there, what used to be there. What was it like when these trolleys were brand new? See, now you're starting to see some of the vacant lots of places that were torn down. Right here is an example of another one of the trolley stations. Pull up next to it and people get on and off the trolley. It's kind of interesting how they're just raised up platforms with a green fence right in the middle of the road. So guys just pay on, they put their card up to the machine, it charges them the amount. Here you see we're only doing like about 10 miles an hour. I'm just amazed at watching how the trolley operator deals with the traffic in a machine he cannot steer. And I bet they don't stop on a dime either. See, like this one right here, you're dealing with automotive traffic. Now, the trolleys do have to follow the rules of the road too, the stop signs, the stop lights, all of that. But like here, like if you were in a car, you'd want to swerve around that black car. But you can't. You have no steering wheel, so how do you do it? It's amazing to me how they deal with the traffic with the inability to steer. I find it quite interesting. But once again, we're pulling up here to another trolley station and let people on and off. And here you go. You got cars that parallel park next to the line. And they better hope that they get on the right side of that white line, or what do? You see what I mean? Because if you're new to the area, would you know that that's an active trolley line? You cannot encroach over that white line, or they might hit you, or you'll plug the line up. And typical inner city nowadays, you have guys under dirt bikes and quad runners running around. Now, personally, me, I find that kind of cool, just in the outlaw side of me, but I know they shouldn't. But this was an interesting place. We're going to film in here in the future. He had it up to a whole 25 mile an hour, and I noticed this would be a pretty good spot to get some rolling shots of a trolley. Now, we come up here to a turn, a stoplight, but there's no switch here. I think coming up, we're going to get to the switch where I start asking the guy, how does the trolley know to turn? Or rather, how does the trolley signal to the switch that we're getting ready to make a turn? Or does he have to do something manually? We're getting ready to answer that here very shortly. Question for you: when you get to them switches like over here, how does that control? Do you control that, or do they control it from like a central? You do from here. Oh, okay.
It's like a chip that's already like integrated in the trolley.
Right.
And by the turn signal, you manipulate the switch. Like it's grooves in the switch. Like it didn't work this time,
right?
Because some switches aren't automated. So if it doesn't work, you know, we're required to come out here and use this switch iron and throw it back over. You know what I'm saying? So we can even do it here, but we really just find the groove of it.
Right.
See, it's dirty right now.
Oh, okay.
Now it accepts the wheel for us to go this way.
And it shall not make your left turn.
Exactly.
And it's only to one side.
Yeah.
It's not like a regular heavy railroad. Okay, cool, awesome. Appreciate you showing me that, man.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
That's cool. That one's jammed. You had to pry bar it over. I was saying earlier, from experience of driving truck in and out of towns like this, I can't imagine having no ability to steer and dealing with traffic.
Oh yeah, man. These things.
That's gotta be freaky.
Yeah. Especially when they slide. It's easy for the most part. It's just they don't stop on the dime like a car or truck. So if I step on the brake, it's not going to stop right away.
Right.
Yeah, you got to stop way earlier, way earlier.
How long you been doing this?
Oh, I just started like a month.
Really?
Yeah, but as far as like getting all the controls, I mean, you can look at it if you want. I respect YouTubers.
Okay, cool. Awesome. What's your name, man?
Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
Good to
Mike.
meet you. Thank you for the ride.
No problem, bro. No problem.
All right, my friend. Have yourself a great have yourself a great day and Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too, man. You too. You too.
Oh yeah. Do a YouTube channel.
Let me be on it.
You want to be on there? So, as a matter of fact, stand right there. We'll get with the trolley right behind you. Get some local kids that saw the camera. They wanted to be on video to a point, so I figured, all right, let me throw them on camera, make them happy. It was pretty cool, actually. Actually, were very nice kids, just especially the little guy there jumping around and hanging out. He was actually very cool, polite, respectful. And we were at the end of the line. There's some kind of an automotive shop right across the way that work on cars, and we had to wait for our trolley that was going to take us back to Fishtown. There were a few other ones that would pull up and leave that weren't going to where we wanted to go, so we had to wait for the next one. So there was a store right behind us. We ran in there, got some drinks, and waited. If I remember right, there was one that kind of parked right here on the main line, and then the one that we later got on had to go around. So this lady right here, in fact, was our ride back to Fishtown. And just like the other operator had to get out with his switching iron and throw the track over, she had to do identically to get around number 2324 right here. She will eventually take us back to Fishtown. Now, the funny thing was, there's major differences in the way that the multiple operators work or operate their trolley. Some with more attitude than others. This particular lady wasn't too keen on being on camera, but she was definitely a cool operator. I liked how she drove, her attitude towards us, her attitude towards other people on the trolley. She was a very well-known person here. Apparently the locals knew her well. And I was quite impressed by that. As you can see, there are sections in town that are nicer than others. Some sections are pretty bad, and you don't really have to go that far before you saw where properties started to become maintained and managed to where people obviously took pride in their places. Obviously, sadly, others do not. Now, bear in mind, this was filmed in 2019, so this was before COVID and before the cities really just became total basket cases. So sadly, I don't really see me going back, at least not to film the trolley or anything. The way things have been in places that I've seen with the semi-truck, I prefer to stay away at this point. So right here's a good shot of Philadelphia over the river there. It just was a good shot. Now you're starting to see it open up a little bit more, and it just was interesting views. You know, one person's opinion of what it looks like to another is different. And here come the dirt bike guys again. I get a kick out of that. I'm sorry. They had no idea I was filming. And they just come around doing their wheelies and the dirt bikes. I know they're not supposed to, but for whatever reason, I still think it's cool. Whatever, judge me for it. Hate me in the comments. That's okay. Now, I noticed, again, we got a lot of vacant lots. They've been tearing down the buildings that are derelict and falling apart, and they're selling off the property. And like here, they're building a new building right here. And, of course, it's adjacent next to older buildings. Now, this I wasn't expecting. There's no white lines to tell people not to get too close to the tracks. But as you could see, it's tight. So this operator here, I often wonder, like, what does she think as you're going through this narrow area and wondering about, you know, hitting cars. But either way, here we are. You should recognize this from where we were just a moment ago, coming down the other way. Just a random car making a head-on to make a left turn. And we're getting back close to where we are. There's a nice church right here, big clock tower on the top of it. Thought it was really beautiful. And some random Audi R8 going down the street on the other way. I managed to catch that on video. The fire, right next to the firehouse.
That's why you gotta stay behind the white line. That's why y'all supposed to be behind the white line. This is ridiculous.
Pasó la tarjeta.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Ron.
Ron, good to meet you. Bus driver told me earlier when we first got on the trolley that they were doing away with these and then they were going to be replacing them in a handful of years.
Yeah,
So they look like they're very old, which is why we're here to ride on one and see how things go. But you were explaining to me off camera some of the history about like this particular one we're standing on was built in '47 and was refurbished in 2004. So I'll let you go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, and when they refurbished the trolleys originally, they did not have air conditioning. They added air conditioning, and also new seating, of course, and the windows. I did take them to school, and they had windows. I mean, I took the old '56 trolley, used to run up and down Tarsdale Avenue.
Okay.
And I took it to school at the time, and they had windows that opened. But since then, the windows did not open, and they added air conditioning. You know, new chassis, upgraded the engines and all the parts.
Now you were saying that they are having to start, because they don't make parts for these anymore, they're starting to have a problem with keeping these running now.
Yes, the last manufacturer approximately 3 years ago went out of business. So there's no place to buy parts anymore as they age. So
now the city is going to have to be eventually replacing them.
Yes.
Any idea what they're going to do with all the old ones?
No, I haven't heard anything official yet.
Imagine if they're going to wind up at some railroad museum, like someplace like Strasburg Railroad, or like one or two of them.
Probably, because we actually have
stripped and thrown in the ocean as an artificial reef. Who knows? Hey, would I be able to ask you some technical questions about these?
If I know the answer, I'll be glad to supply it.
Well, I noticed some very
much technical stuff.
Well, while I was riding, I was sitting right here in this seat, and I was watching the operator throttle, brake, and I'm imagining a dead pedal.
Yes, that's a dead man pedal.
Okay, so if you're not stepping on it, it ain't doing anything.
Correct. That makes sure all feet are there.
Okay.
Or accidentally, God forbid, the operator should fall out of the seat.
Right.
And your foot comes off the dead man pedal.
Right.
And it's not gonna move.
Okay, the rest is just lighting, switches, controls, like the doors and whatnot. I noticed the speedometer goes up to 60. I don't think anybody ever gets even close to that.
No, probably 30, 35.
Let's see, I think the fastest I seen was 30. I noticed different. We rode out with one operator, came back with another. Some have horns, some have bells, some use both. What's the? I guess
they all have horns, just like a car,
right?
And a gong.
Okay.
Like I don't know, those Rice-A-Roni commercials we used to see on TV.
Yeah, I just want to hear the ding ding bell.
And then
Is there a criteria on when you use which one, or is this up to the operator's discretion?
Operator's discretion.
Now, different from a standard railroad, what I would be used to seeing, I don't see any brake shoes on the wheels, but I see this. What I first thought was like a ground strap for electricity. Is that the brake in the center right there?
This?
Yeah.
That's one of the brakes. There's 3 types of brakes on here. There's dynamic braking with the engine.
Okay.
There's actually brake shoes on the axle.
Okay.
That goes through it. And what this is a track brake.
Okay.
The track brake is magnetic. And if you want to focus.
Okay. Right.
Now,
So that magnetically grabs the track.
yes, yes.
Okay.
The electric and the capacitor from the electricity.
Okay.
They're sort of like 4 big magnets.
Right.
Now what they will do is, they're not going to stop the trolley, but between a combination of the dynamic brake, the disc brake, plus the track brake adds more friction. It'll slow it down faster.
Okay. So in layman's terms, with the dynamic braking, you're basically taking the electric motor and making it into a generator by putting a load on the wheels to slow it down that way.
Right.
Okay. Where does it spend off that energy? In like some kind of resistor or a battery or something, or?
I believe in the capacitors, like there's capacitors.
Oh, okay. It'd be somewhere up above in the electric. Oh, okay. What kind of voltage is up there?
600 volt DC. Hey Jay, it's 600 volt DC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 600 volt DC.
Oh, well, hey, thank you very much.
Okay.
Look at that, guys. You just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to walk into, and just you get walking encyclopedias of Philadelphia trolleys.
You never know.
Awesome. Hey, thank you very much. Have a happy New Year. At this point, I cut the audio off because, again, there's music behind it. After we had got off the trolley, we drove a little bit to try to get some rolling shots of the trolley. And here we were. This actually is the same lady that was driving the trolley that we came back from. So I thought it was kind of interesting just going down the road with the car and trying to get good shots of the neighborhood and of the trolley going down the road. I mean, I did the best I could regarding getting the shots of the trolley going down the road. And I thought it was an interesting view. I mean, how often do you see this trolley that looks like it was built in the 50s going down the road in the middle of Philadelphia in modern day? I found that very interesting, to say the least. Now, of course, this was an older video, so I used to throw up the subscribe and the merch plugs at the very end of the video. I've changed my editing ways about me, recently. Matter of fact, right there, if you backed it up a little bit, there was an old Scania right there. Right now, of course, that's our Mercedes. And here we go with the last shot. She was beeping a horn and hitting the ding, ding, ding bell as we went by. I recognized that's who I was. So I thought that was interesting. But nonetheless, here we go. We're getting towards the end of the video. And sadly, we're just going to have to wait until maybe I do it again or explore trolleys in other cities. Who knows? Well, with that, guys, if you find the original video, it's still up on FSC Trucking. If you want to find it, you just got to scroll way back to the earlier days. You'll find it there in its originality. Thank you.